the water connection is shut off. How do you even know that from people in that case? How do people talk to you about that?
How do you know?
Yeah, so when someone comes to the pantry and says, I mean, do they just outright say, for instance, Mr. Dixon, I have my water shut off. Do you have water? Or do they say something else?
No, usually if they haven't spoken with Rev about a water shut off, they'll come into the other side, the pantry side, and they'll see the water. We're a water station. And they'll see the water and they say, well, can I get some? And I'll say, well, you'll have to talk with Reverend Rosalind about it. If there's a shut-off issue or a dirty water issue, you need to talk to her about it. And they may go all the way around and then go. And therefore, that's the stigma. They felt comfortable asking then about it because it was there. Uncomfortable to say, yes, I'm experiencing water shut. But once you make them comfortable and say, this is what it's about, and that's what we do, and it's okay, then they're willing to talk to Reverend Rosalind about it. Yeah.
Do you know of any other groups or pantries or just groups in general in the Brightmoor area that are helping folks with water issues?
I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. That's something, if you're having one and I know about it, I'm going to direct you to my director.
Right.
And she uses her resources. If we can't handle it, she'll give you the resources in which to do so. Send you there. So I really don't.
So, one of the things that we've been grappling with is this term, is this notion of water security. What does it mean to you?
Water security? Being able to get up and have a cup of coffee. Take a shower.
Yeah.
That's water security.
Just the everyday stuff.
Everyday stuff, because even if you don't drink coffee or tea or you drink milk, water is important because if you didn't have the rain and the water, the cows won't eat the grass. You won't have the milk. Water is everywhere. It's important in our lives. So water security means I can do those things. I can take a shower. I can go get a glass of water. I can make a cup of tea or coffee or whatever. That's water security. That's water. I can run the water. That's water security.
When you hear the stories of the people who come to the pantry, or even just outside the pantry, in your own community, in your own neighborhood, and maybe when they talk about water, do you hear about any other concerns related to water, or is it primarily about affordability and high bills? So, for instance, do you hear concerns about, say, flooding, or concerns about possible lead and copper contamination, or not?
Yeah, well, you hear about the flooding because that's part of the area of the gentrification and lack of caring for the community as the city had once did, or it was once taken care of. So you're going to have that flooding. So you hear about that. You're going to hear about if you don't have water, the illnesses, the children. One of the other changes that just went through my mind, the children today have to bring hand sanitizer. They're asked to bring hand sanitizer. That's a part of their school supplies. Whereas my children, they didn't. because they could go to the bathroom in at school and wash their hands. And now they have to have hand sanitizer in the classrooms. Says something. And plus, what happens is you get colds. Just ordinary, where we would think it was ordinary colds. Our children now, without water, the cold spread so much around the whole house. Where in my day, or my children's day, one got a cold, it was able for just that one to have the cold and not everybody. But with lack of water, you're going to have that and it turn into something else as well. It turn into pneumonia, very easily.
You talked about flooding just back.
Mm-hmm.
And generally, we hear a lot about current flooding, especially on the east side. But are you seeing a lot of flooding in your neighborhood or in your community, or have you seen it in the past over here as well?
Oh yeah, yeah. You have a lot of street flooding and some of the my son's the basement. Yep, the basement flooding. We didn't get the knee level, but we got the lower, where you just kind of squash.
How often does that happen?
For them, it's a good rain, a good storm. Yep.
So every other year? Almost?
No, every year, maybe 2-3 times a year. Yeah.
And they live around this
Yep.
Brightmoor as well, right?
Yep, they're Brightmoor. Yep, we're Brightmoor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you personally have not had any flooding issues in your home or in your basement, though?
No.
Okay.
No. But for me, that's where I live.
Right.
Okay, I live with my son and daughter-in-law.
Okay.
So, yes, we've experienced it. Okay. And the landlord gets pretty tired of having to come and, send a plumber. And he knows it's because the lack of maintenance for this area that usually had been done is not being done now. So yeah.
I mean, so I kind of want to ask you, like, how does that make you feel? Or, but I don't know if at this point, because it happens so often for you, that it's almost like, ugh, one more.
It's almost you almost become numb to it, or you just you become, it's going to happen, so you become prepared for it.
How do you prepare for it?
You do everything landlord asks you to do. And that's put the drain, the rid, and all of that, and hopefully that will help. But when things haven't been maintained, and that is the reason for it, it doesn't really help. It doesn't help.
Do most of your other neighbors also
experience the same thing? Yeah.
Every year?
Yeah.
So?
Mhm. Yeah.
Do you need to take any precautions as far as possible illnesses and are concerned, like Hep A and things like that?
The only thing that we've done is continue to seal the basement, paint the basement, that sort of thing. Watch the floor maintenance, any mold. That's where the paint comes in. Usually if it's up a little further, like to your cuff of your pants, that's when my son will paint to keep down any mold, disinfect. That's pretty much what we can do.
Right.
So that's pretty much it. That's all that we've advised our neighbors to do, or they, have told us what they do. Keeping things cheer high, totes and whatever they have down there. That's about all you can do. and hope you don't get sick.
Does the street get flooded?
Yeah, you get street flooding. That's usually where it is. It's not in the sense of it may come where you can really see. We've had that once where it came up to the porch.
Right.
But usually in front, yeah, there's over the curb, yeah, street flooding.
So has the city ever sent out anyone or put out any information or brochures or made any sort of attempt to address this?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of. I can't say they haven't. I don't know of any.
What about other groups or organizations? Maybe because everyone talks, especially these days, there's a lot of conversation about using green stormwater infrastructure to help reduce the risk of flooding in parts of the city. And so, has any of these other groups perhaps been in contact with residents who try to address this issue?
Not that I know of.
No?
I can't say they haven't. But not that I'm aware of.
Nothing in the mail or anything like that.
If it is, it may have come to my son and daughter-in-law, and I haven't seen it.
Right.
So that's a possibility. I can't say.
That's interesting. You said I'm numb to this right now, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, because that just seems like such a horrible thing to have to deal with.
Yeah. One of the things is, and when you say, you become numb and it's not complacency.
No.
It's just, it's sad that it may become a norm of life for you. And that's sad. And that's one of the things that we combat, I think, as workers here, as volunteers, to give hope, is that not to become complacent, but remember what it was and it can be again. To give that person hope, because I can tell you personally, it's possible to allow this kind of living, this struggle, this day-to-day survival to become the norm for you. And that's where the hopelessness comes in. That's when a person is hopeless. And it doesn't mean that it's hard to see it. You have to really hear it. Because I can tell you there were times when, for me, it felt hopeless. This is the norm. This is going to be my struggle today. My struggle is going to be to get my kids to school. My struggle is going to be how am I going to feed them? What are they going to eat? That became my norm. So I know for people in the community today, young people who are struggling, that can become their norm, and that is really a hopelessness. Because it seems like it's not going to get any better. I just got to learn how to deal with what it is. But what happens is it gets worse. It gets worse. So.
Have you always had a plumbing problem ever since you've lived?
Plumbing problem?
Flooding problem.
Flooding?
Since you've lived here?
30 years? No. I don't live in the same. We're still in Brightmoor. Matter of fact, my son lives.
Oh, I thought you said you lived with your son and daughter.
I do.
Okay.
But not for 30 years.
Okay.
Not for 30 years. Where I lived, where I was raising my sons, we had some plumbing problem, or not plumbing, but flooding problems. But it never came to the house. The house was fine.
So, how long have you more or less experienced this problem with the flooding?
With the flooding where he is? Oh, he'd probably tell you ever since he moved there, and I think they've been there in maybe 8 years. 2000, 2010.
How they talk
Where are
about
they?
moving?
Oh, they talk about it all the time.
Or at least to a different part of the city or part of the Brightmoor.
They talk about it all the time.
It's tough.
Yep, it's tough.
It's tough to just pack up and move. Not
Mm-hmm.
everyone has that
Ability to move like that. Right. Right. That's absolutely right. And becomes a question, is it all over the city or just here? So, as I said, you can become, it's your norm. And I'm surviving in my norm. Whereas for other people, this would not be normal. But I'm surviving in my norm. So, and that's where the hopelessness comes in. I'm okay. I don't see that I'm feeling hopeless. Because this is my norm. What's wrong with my norm? That means something's wrong with me. See what I'm saying? So, I'm okay.
Yeah, can I ask you a question? You said that it gets worse, the hopelessness, and you said that you survive in your norm and then it gets worse. How does it get worse? But look at the when you answer.
Okay. When I say that it can get worse, the situation can get worse. And you not recognize that it is because you're in survival mode. That's what I mean when I say it can get worse and you're not really recognizing it because you're already hopeless. I'm in survival. I'm surviving. I may not be thriving, but I'm surviving. And that's hopelessness. A fair price?
Yeah.
Then what do you mean? A fair price?
Should we, one of the problems is, of course, that we talked about really high water bills for the workers. They're recurrent also every month or every 3 months. We often have to pay for, sewage fees. All of those costs have been inflated quite a lot. We got the whole G7 rule, right, in terms of infrastructure costs, maintenance costs, for the entire system, Twitter's at 83%. So there's a lot that, in terms of costs, that goes into the water bill, which is difficult for a lot of users. On the flip side, you've also got folks who argue that, well, someone's got to pay for it. You can't have water for free because all of that water has to be treated, has to be distributed. There are costs associated. So, someone who's situated bang in the middle of all of this right now, you're experiencing not just the debate side of high water bills, but the life side of high water bills. What are your thoughts about what's an affordable rate? What's a fair price that people can actually afford?
What they can afford. Their ability to pay.
Based on what they're earning.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you think water should be free?
Well, I'd love for it to be free. But since all of this other's tied into it, it's not free. But I think that would be great if it was free. But the ability to pay, I think he came up with it with housing, the ability to pay. So that's how I feel about that, what you can afford to pay.
So, can you, because I'm sure you encounter so many different people some really unfortunately sad stories, but also in some cases uplifting stories of people who are trying to make do with what they have. Can you recall maybe one of these stories that really moves you or inspires you? Someone dealing with these incredibly high water bills, or who's had to deal with a long drawn out shut off situation.
That has ooh. No, none that I want to share, I think. And it's not I don't really want to share it, but that's one to ask Rev, but I can tell you one that I heard. It wasn't about a shut off, but this is one, and it happens to be my son's brother-in-law, and he received a water bill of $1,600.
Wow.
Now, fortunately, he and his wife have the ability to pay.
Who has the ability to pay $1,600?
Well, they both have good jobs, and they're not far from Brightmoor, and they may be even considered in our area. But yeah, they're not far. Trust and believe. And he said that they went on and paid it. He had questioned it, called them. They told him, well, that's what it is, and while it's going through review, you still have to pay it. So he went, he paid it, and they told him something of, you must have a leak, da da da. He said, no leak is going to be $1,600. The following month, or the following bill, was $600. He disputed that. They were used to getting bills at $230, something $230 water bills. So he went on and paid that, and I told him, the next one you get, I want to see him. He's one that I would love to come to, our little meetings or whatever, to express what happened with him. So that's one I can tell you. But they have the ability to pay. That's because they have two nice incomes coming in. So, everybody doesn't have that.
But even with, having the income, that's still...
doesn't make it right. No.
Crazy.
He was paying for the whole block. That's what I told him. I said, you paid for the whole block for the month. Yeah.
It's like, if you have an Olympic swimming pool maybe in the back.
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. No. No, not at all. But that's the kind of things that are going on. And people not really speaking up. I mean, he did, but he's not getting a qualified answer. And before he could even get an answer, it was threatened to go ahead and pay the bill. So he paid the bill before it really was reviewed and looked at. So it's...
So after the review, was there any change at all?
No. You paid it. Why should we change it?
Oh, wow. So there was no...
But that's part of that threat of shutting off.
Right.
Nobody wants their water off.
Nope.
So that's that threat. What do I have to fight you with? We don't. I don't personally know how many people right here in Brightmoor that have gone through and experienced the same thing. And that threat, they didn't fight it because of the threat of being shut off. Nobody wants their water shut off. No. Yes, it is. Water is, it's a necessity. It's a right. You can't do anything without water. So to not have it, or to threaten me, I'm not going to have it. Yeah, it shuts people down. So it's really it's really a blessing to have the connection here, Brightmoor Connection, where people can come in, talk with our director. She find resources, and to be able to open up their feelings and be told, it's not you. You're not a bad person. It's nothing you've really done. Okay.
So I think we've covered most of the issues.
Okay.
Is there anything else that we have not covered so far that you would like to leave us with? Last words or parting comments?
I don't know. I'm very, humbled and by this. But I thank God for Brightmoor Connection. I really do. And all its partners and resources that people can come and express and tell their needs, their fears, and be given hope. Not that it's not normal. Even though you're surviving, it's not a normal thing to be without water or food. It's not anything that you're a bad person. So I'm grateful. I am grateful for the Brightmoor Connection. Okay. We're good.